Today, we will be looking at 6 cunning traps in the Queen's Gambit that will catch your opponents off guard and you will win in few moves. First, we will see 3 for white and then 3 for black. So let's move on to our first trap. In the Queen's Gambit, black goes for knight f6. This is the martial defense. Here you will capture this pawn, black takes back, and now you will control the center with the move e4. Knight moves back to the safety. Knight c3, e6. Natural moves. Knight f3, developing the knight. Bishop b4, pinning this knight to the king. Bishop d3, defending this pawn. Now here, if black goes for castle, then he is completely lost. Here you will play e5. The knight jumps to the center, putting more pressure on this knight. But here, you will ignore this completely and play this amazing move. Bishop takes h7, sacrificing the bishop. King takes, knight g5 check. King goes back. And then queen to h5 is an unstoppable checkmate until the opponent sacrifices their queen. And you are completely winning in just 10 moves. Let's move on to our second trap. This is in the Queen's Gambit decline. Knight c3, knight f6, bishop g5, pinning the knight, bishop e7 unpinning, all standard stuff. Here you will exchange this pawn and then play e3, defending this central pawn. Black also drew the same. Here you will play queen to c2, preventing black from developing his light square bishop. Here, so many players have gone knight to e4, centralizing his knight and attacking the bishop. But this is a big mistake. First you will exchange the bishop, and here you will play this amazing move, knight takes d5. First, if c takes d5, then queen takes bishop is completely winning. This b7 pawn is hanging and there are various threats along this diagonal. There is one more line possible, which is queen to e6, defending the bishop and defending this knight. But here you will just play knight to c7 check, which is a fork to the king and the queen is lost, and you are completely winning in just 10 moves. Let's move on to our third trap. This is in the Albin counter gambit. After you take, black plays e5. Here you will play knight f3, black goes knight c6, defending this pawn. Here you will go with the g3 line. Black plays bishop g4. You go with bishop g2. Black plays queen to d7, preparing for castling. Queen to b3 kind of forces him to castle. So he castles. We also castle. And here, bishop to h3 is one of the most common move, but this is completely losing. You will play pawn to e6, and no matter what black does, you will have an advantage. First, if queen takes on e6, then knight to g5 is a fork and you will be up a piece. What if bishop takes on g2? Then this queen is hanging. Your opponent wouldn't do that, so let's move back. What if bishop takes on e6? Then you will play knight to e5, putting pressure on this queen and this knight. If knight takes on e5, then queen to b7 is a checkmate. Therefore, black will save his queen. And here, you will exchange this knight. Black is forced to capture with the b pawn. And as you can see, his castle is also ruined. And you can play queen to a4, creating so many threats. and black is completely lost. Now let's look for some traps with the black pieces. So in the quiz gambit, you are going to accept this gambit. Black goes e3, attacking this pawn. This bishop to e6 move will make most of your opponents start to panic. Now here, if they decided to go queen to a4 check, just play c6. And here, the most common move is bishop takes c4, which is completely losing to the move b5. Here, white tries to get some compensation with bishop takes, pawn takes, queen takes. Here you are going to block this check with your bishop. And here, so many opponents have gone queen to b7, hitting this rook. But you are going to play bishop to c6, which is a double attack on the queen and the g2 pawn. So after a move, say queen to b3, you are going to capture this pawn and this rook is also hanging. And you are completely winning in just 8 moves. What if in this position, white tries to grow knight f3 with the idea of going to knight g5 to trade this bishop? You are going to play this sneaky move c6, which looks like that you are going for b5 to strengthen this pawn. They will go knight g5, continuing their plan of trading this bishop. You are going to shock them with queen to a5 check, and this knight is lost and you are completely winning in just 6 moves. Let's move on to the last trap. This last trap is my favorite one, and this trap works 70% of the time. So pay attention. This is in the queen's gambit declined. Knight c3, knight f6, bishop g5, pinning this knight. Now here you will play this tricky move, knight b d7. And most of your opponent are going to exchange this pawn. And now they play knight takes on d5, taking advantage of the fact that your knight is pinned to the queen. But you are going to shock them with knight takes on d5. Here your opponent is going to happily take this queen, but you will play this amazing move, bishop to b4 check. Now queen to d2 is the only move, and after they block with their queen, you are going to take this queen, king takes, and now you are going to take this bishop, and you are up a full piece and completely winning in just 9 moves. You like this trap, right? Then don't forget to hit the like button, and if you don't want to miss more of these traps, then consider subscribing, and I will see you in the next video.